Welcome, dear friend, to Godly Sleep, a place where your heart can finally rest. You don't have to carry the weight of the day any longer. Whatever has been pressing on your mind, the stress, the noise, the worries that seem to follow you, even into the night, you can let them go now, here. In this quiet space, you are safe, you are seen, you are loved. Close your eyes and take a slow breath in. Feel it fill your lung, then gently release it. As the world grows still, let God's peace begin to wrap around you like a warm blanket. Every word you hear tonight comes from Scripture, a message of hope, comfort, and divine calm that your soul has been longing for. When you can't sleep, when the world feels heavy, when you just need a moment to breathe again, come back here. You are not alone. Thousands of hearts are listening with you tonight, resting under the same promise of peace that God gives freely to all who seek Him. Here at Godly Sleep, we believe that rest is more than just closing your eyes. It's allowing your spirit to be renewed in the presence of the one who loves you most. So find a soft place to rest. Let go of your thoughts and allow the Word of God to lead you gently into peace. If this space brings you comfort, consider subscribing and joining our growing community of believers who seek nightly peace through Scripture and reflection. Together, we're building not just a channel, but a family of faith, rest, and hope. Tonight, may you drift into sleep, knowing that you are deeply loved, perfectly held, and never alone. As you prepare to rest, open with gentleness. Open to a quiet place inside. Open to the promises that still hold when the day slips away. I sit with you now. I read with a steady voice. My pace is slow. My tone is soft. The room breathes with us. Settle into the bed or your chair. Let limbs find the support they need. Feel the fabric against your skin. Notice any tight places. Breathe in slowly. Hold for a moment. Breathe out with a long, easy sigh. Let eyes rest on a single dark point or close them, if that feels safe. Allow the shoulders to drop. Let the jaw soften. The body begins to unwind. I begin with an invitation that asks nothing more than presence. No tasks remain for tonight. No lists press at the edges of your mind. There is a promise to lean into. There is an offering meant for worn hearts. You are not required to fix anything. You may only receive. Hear this first promise in a simple way. God is near. This nearness does not depend on energy or answers. It stands in the quiet and in the noise. It is the same near hand that steadies a child at the first step. It is the presence that breathes with the sleeper and the watcher. Imagine a light just beyond your eyelids, gentle and warm. It does not glare. It rests. It keeps company. Think of rest as a shelter. Rest is not absence, but a sheltering. Your cares can be set down like a heavy bag at the threshold. They do not need to be carried through tonight. There is a promise that the weight you feel now need not be carried alone. Bring one small worry to the edge of thought. Picture laying it down. Watch it rest on a table, Notice the space that opens when the load is no longer yours to hold. Listen to the rhythm of a steady truth. Strength will return, not in frantic bursts, but in a slow mending. Imagine a tree through seasons. Storms strip leaves and branches. Time and care restore the canopy. Roots reach deeper below, drawing unseen water. In the same way, strength grows in hidden places as you sleep. The promise is gentle restoration. It works quietly while the mind relaxes. There is mercy for mistakes and for failures. Mercy arrives not as judgment, but as a soft cloth. It pats, not scolds. Picture hands that soothe a fevered brow. They do not demand a list of justifications. They simply care. Let that image sit near you now. Allow it to erase a harsh thought. Allow it to replace it with a small, clean truth. You are held. Peace comes like a slow tide. It does not rush. It laps at the edges of worry and eases them away. Imagine standing at the shore at dusk. The sound of water is steady. It speaks one quiet word: rest. Let each breath match that tide. The body follows when the mind takes direction. With each exhale, feel the tide draw a little more anxiety out to sea. I will read short promises that are easy to keep in the memory of sleep. These promises are not long arguments. They are simple sentences that can lie close to the heart. They are like lullabies for the soul. Promise, you will not be abandoned in the dark. The darkness does not change the promise. The same light that is with you in daylight is with you now. Imagine a steady presence, like a lantern, placed on the bedside table. It does not burn bright. It glows enough to guide and to comfort. Promise, your burdens can be shared. They are not meant to rest only on your shoulders. Picture a second pair of hands taking one burden. Feel immediate relief as the load lightens. The act is small in imagination, but it changes the body. Muscles enclenchent. Breathing slows. Promise rest is given to the weary. The offer is not earned by perfect faith or tireless effort. It is given. Picture a soft bed waiting for someone long on their feet. The body melts into the mattress. The mind exhales. Allow the offer to reach into a place that has resisted rest because of doubt. Doubt does not disqualify you. Promise peace guards the heart and the mind. Guarding is gentle. It is a watchful presence that keeps night thoughts from overwhelming. Imagine a quiet sentinel who whispers reassurance when intrusive thoughts come. The sentinel does not shout. It simply reminds you of what is true. Promised strength is renewed like wings. This is not a sudden leap into power. It is a steady rebuilding. Picture feathers mending in slow, careful work. Each small repair prepares for flight. So it is with you. Small refreshings prepare the way for steadier steps tomorrow. I speak these promises without pressure. They invite, not command. You are free to hold them lightly. You may let them settle or pass by. The goal is not to force belief, but to give rest a place to land. If a promise does not sit well tonight, let it be. Return to a single breath. Return when the mind finds it helpful. As I read, I guide your breathing again. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. Inhale, smooth and even. Hold gently. Exhale longer and let go. Repeat this rhythm 3 times. Feel the chest soften. Feel the abdomen relax. The body answers to rhythm. Rhythm invites sleep. I offer a short reflection now. Think of a field after rain. The ground is soaked. Seeds press into a tender dark. The plants that sleep beneath will use the water to wake. Your rest is like that rain. Even when the day felt dry, the night brings renewal. It does not announce itself loudly. It works in silence. There may be nights when tears come. Let them fall. They are part of unclenching. They wash. They clear. Do not hide them from the one who cares. If tears rise in the dark, breathe and let them move. After the tears, the face feels lighter. The chest releases a tightness that held the breath hostage. If fear appears, name it simply. Fear is a small animal curled in a corner. Say its name in the mind, and then soften toward it. Do not poke or prod. Just observe. Then return attention to the steady presence that stays. Fear often shrinks when it meets calm attention. I read another quiet truth. You are more than your productivity. Your worth does not rise and fall with output. In the slow hours, identity rests on grace, not on checklists. Picture yourself as a person in a deep room, lit by gentle lamps. Your value stands in the room itself, not in what you carry or arrange there. When sleep comes slowly, continue with the breath. Notice any small muscle clench and ask it to release. Think of one kind thing you did today, however small. Let it sit like a small stone in the palm. Allow gratitude to act as a soft pillow for the mind. Gratitude does not erase suffering. It softens the edges. I also remind you that rest is part of a rhythm. Work and rest balance each other. Tonight is rest's turn. Allow it. Let the body receive what it needs. There will be tasks tomorrow, but they do not enter now. They sit like unopened letters on a countertop. They will be there with daylight, but not tonight. If worry about tomorrow wakes you, place it in a small imagined box. Close the lid. Visualize placing that box on a shelf. You will pick it up in daylight if needed. For now, let it rest. The imagination is a helpful tool. Use it kindly. There is a promise of refuge. Think of a cave with a warm light at its mouth. The storm is outside. Inside, the air is still and safe. Sleep in the cave. Let roots grow in the quiet. Let healing begin its slow work. I will pause now, reading slowly so the mind can follow without strain. Each sentence is a breath. Each image is soft. The voice lowers. The words thin into silence. Stay here with the breathing. Let room sounds fall into the background. Notice the rhythm of the house or the night. Let it be a part of the song that calms. Before this part closes, accept a brief blessing. Receive a calm that travels through the limbs. Receive courage that arrives in the small acts of rest. Receive assurance that the promises hold even when they feel distant. These gifts are simple and faithful. They do not demand answers. I will return in the next part to draw out more promises and quieter scriptures. For now, I leave you with a final gentle image. Picture a slow stream under a moonlit sky. The water moves steady and sure. Leaves float and drift without hurry. The stream does not force its way. It knows the path and follows it. Let your thoughts float like those leaves. Watch them move. Do not chase them. Do not hold them. Let the stream carry them into a place where rest can grow. Rest now. Trust the slow work of renewal. I am here with you. The promises stay. Sleep when you are ready. Tonight, let mercy and peace find their way into the quiet corners. End this evening with a breath that lingers. A breath that says, I am safe. I can rest. I come back slowly. My voice is lower now. The room seems even quieter. I keep the pace gentle. Each word is a soft step toward rest. I sit with the Bible open. I read not to prove anything. I read to soothe. I read to let holy words rest near the heart. The passages that follow are short and plain. They are like lanterns placed along a dark path. They do not glare. They simply show the next step. Listen to a simple line of comfort from a psalm. Sleep is safe when someone watches over the sleeper. The night is not empty. It carries a steady presence that keeps watch. Picture a small lamp at the bedside. Its light does not press. It offers assurance that you are seen. Let that image rest. I read another short line that feels like a hand on the shoulder. The invitation is to come with all that is tired. Rest follows the one who brings truth. Let this invitation sink in. It is not a command that punishes. It is an offering that meets need. Imagine a warm bench beneath a tree. Someone gestures toward it. You accept without haste. Breathe slowly as I read. Inhale for 4. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. Repeat. Let the breath lengthen the space between thought. The ocean of calm grows with each out-breath. I share a short, steady truth from Scripture about peace that surpasses hurried reasoning. The promise is not a quick fix. It is a deep calm that settles around the mind like a blanket. Picture a quiet room where all clocks slow. The inner conversation eases. The heart remembers how to be still. If worry rises, name it simply. Say the worry in the mind and place it beside the lamp. Observe it without argument. Then return to the breath and the small light. Worry feels less big when held beside a steady image. I encourage gentle gratitude now. Think of one small kindness from today. Hold it like a pebble. Let its weight be comforting. Gratitude does not erase pain. It softens the edges and makes space for mercy. There is mercy in the night. Mercy meets the wounds that daylight often ignores. Mercy does not demand reasons. It offers quiet comfort. Allow mercy to touch any place that feels raw. Picture a soft cloth on the skin. It presses just enough to soothe. Rest is not earned by toil. It is given. This is not harsh doctrine. It is a simple assurance. Imagine a garden bench waiting for a tired traveler. The bench does not ask for a list of achievements. It simply holds. Music of the room becomes a part of the reading. A clock ticks. A fridge hums. A distant car passe. These noises do not break the peace. They frame it. The world keeps moving. And still, there is a place of pause in the middle of it. I speak now about community in a quiet way. Solitude is a gift and a teacher. Community is another gift. It shows that journeys do not have to be walked alone. Look for others who share an honest search for comfort and truth. Seek people who listen with soft eyes. Find a small group, a friendly neighbor, a humble online space where gentle faith is practiced. Authenticity matters more than polish. Truth is found in open hearts, not perfect answers. If this reading helps, consider staying connected to the channel that brings these moments each night. Subscribing is a simple way to return to rest. A comment can be a quiet note to say this is needed, or to share a small blessing. Sharing with someone who may need this calm is an act of mercy. These actions are not obligations. They are gentle invitations to build a community that cares quietly and kindly. I continue with a short passage about protection. Night can feel wide and unguarded. The text reassures that protection is nearby, like a fence around a small garden. It is not an armor that makes the heart hard. It is a gentle boundary that keeps harmful things at a distance, while leaving room for softness. Think of the body now. Start at the feet. Notice any tightness. Inhale and send warmth there. Let the ankles soften. Let the calves release. Move attention slowly upward. Allow the knees to relax. Let the thighs unwind. With each breath, imagine the muscles loosening like curtains sliding open. The pelvis finds a place of rest. The belly softens. The chest opens slightly with the next exhale. Shoulders slip down from the ears. The neck clears. The jaw releases. The cheeks and eyes relax. The whole face becomes calm. As the body settles, the mind follows. Picture thoughts as clouds. They drift without urgency. Some clouds carry rain. Some pass quickly. None must be held. Watch them move on the slow wind of breath. I read a short scripture line about courage that comes in small doses. Courage is not always a loud charge. It is a quiet choice to breathe and continue. When fear visits, take one small, brave breath. Allow it to steady the hands and the heart. Small courage is faithful. It prepares the morning in nameless ways. If tears come, this is welcome. Tears are the body's honest language. They cleanse. They open channels where stuck grief lives. Let them fall without shame. The night receives them gently. I suggest a small practice. Picture a warm cup of water on a bedside table. There is a note beside it with a single sentence: breathe and trust. Look at the note in the imagination. Give it a smile. The note does not solve tomorrow's puzzles. It simply reminds of the present safe edges. I read a calm verse about rest being a gift for the weary. Let this idea sink without argument. The mind may protest with lists. That is normal. Gently place the lists aside like folded clothes. They will be there later. For now, allow the restful gift to be received. Tonight, choose one small, prayerless sentence to hold something plain, something true. Perhaps you are cared for. Repeat it slowly with the breath. Let the words be a soft anchor. Authenticity appears again as a theme. Spiritual life rarely matches polished pictures. It includes quiet doubts and small, tender hopes. Share this honest life with people who welcome brokenness without fixing. Such places become refuge. They remind that faith can be humble and gentle. I invite a moment of silence now. A pause that is not empty, but full of listening. In that silence, notice the steady presence described in Scripture. It does not clamor. It simply exists, companion to the watcher and the sleeper. Breathe into that companionable quiet. If it helps, imagine a phrase from the Psalms moving slowly like a lullaby. The phrase speaks of safety and calm. Let it float by without forcing meaning. Sounds and rhythms can soothe even before full understanding arrives. I also mention a simple habit that prepares the body for sleep. Dim the lights. Put device face down. Create a small ritual that says to the body, day is finished. The mind learns by repetition. Gentle signals help it relax. There will be mornings needing strength. This night heals toward that strength. Strength returns in patient pieces. Do not expect all answers to arrive at once. The slow work of mending is faithful. I read again, slowly, a reassuring point about worth. Worth does not depend on success. It rests on being created and loved. This truth is quiet but stubborn. It sits like a seed in warm soil. With night and rest, roots deepen. If the mind keeps returning to tasks, use a simple box trick. Imagine a small wooden box. Place one worry inside. Close the lid. Put the box on a shelf. Picture the shelf bathed in moonlight. This box will remain safe until morning. The exercise helps the mind to let go for a time. I pause and breathe together with you. My breath matches the soft rhythm already established. The voice lowers further. The words become fewer. Before this part ends, accept a gentle blessing. May this night be a place of small healings. May mercy touch weariness. May calm find the hardest places. These are not promises of magic. They are steady hopes offered with tenderness. If this message resonates, share it with someone who may need a quiet moment. Encourage them towards simple rest. A shared blessing becomes a small community across distance. Subscribing brings more evenings like this. Commenting can be a quiet way to say thank you or to request a short reading for a particular need. Sharing spreads mercy in a practical way. I close with a short scriptural line, translated into simple speech. Sleep now in safe hands. Wake with a steady courage. The night does its slow work, and you are part of that work. Let the final breath be long and soft. Release the last of the day. I will return in the next part with more gentle readings and quiet images. For now, step back into silence. The Bible remains open. The lamp remains low. The promise of presence endures. Rest now. Let sleep come in its own time. I am here, reading into the night, a steady companion on the slow road toward morning. Good night. I open the Bible and let the pages fall softly. My voice is low. The room keeps its hush. I read for comfort, not for argument, not for proof, just for rest. The passage I carry tonight is known by many. It offers a simple invitation. It tells those who are tired to come and find rest. Matthew 1:1-8, names that welcome. It speaks of burdens carried and of rest offered. I do not press on details. I let that welcome stand like a door left open at dusk. I remember the first time those words found me. Night had been long. Work blurred into worry. The body felt like worn fabric. Sleep would not come. My hands shook slightly with tiredness. I sat on the edge of a bed and put a Bible on my knees. The page felt cool. The sentence read like a bench placed on a narrow road. I let myself sit. Exhaustion is physical. It moves through the limbs. It sits in the throat. It sits in the head. But it is also an ache of the heart, the place where hope feels thin, the place where questions crowd. In those times, the invitation to lay burdens down is gentle medicine. It does not demand explanations. It simply opens a place to rest. I hold a scene in mind. It is winter. The house is quiet. Snow muffles sound outside. A lamp throws a small circle of light over a quilt. I climb under that quilt. The fabric is warm. Breath slows. The world shrinks to the space between chest and blanket. I speak the invitation inward. I picture burdens being placed, one by one, on the floor beside the bed. They are objects now. A heavy sack, a knot of rope, a stack of unread letters. I do not pick them up again. I let them be still. Sometimes I carry a tiredness that feels like lost motion. It is not simply being worn. It is a sense that energy once steady has slipped away. In those hours, I rest in a simple posture. I name the fatigue out loud in my head. I ask for a small relief. The asking is brief. It is a handing over more than a plea. The act of handing over changes the body. Shoulders loosen. The jaw unknits. A quiet follows the motion. The scripture invitation is not a rule. It is a doorway. It meets the actual state of weariness. When I turn toward it, the room grows softer. Sounds around me dim. The mind, which had raced, finds a new cadence. That cadence is slow and kind. It is not performance. It is reception. I use a slow breathing pattern now. Inhale for 4. Pause for a beat. Exhale long for 6. Repeat 3 times. Each breath is a small surrender. Each out-breath lets the chest become lighter. Let this rhythm guide the mind like a lantern at the edge of a path. Care is given in many forms. Sometimes it arrives through an answered prayer. Sometimes it arrives as a friend who listens without fixing. Sometimes it arrives as a memory of a childhood song hummed at bedtime. For me, it often arrives as a quiet certainty that presence is enough. Presence does not have to mend everything. It simply stands. That standing is itself healing. There are practical moves that help hold the invitation. I speak them slowly so ears can catch them. Dim the lights. Put away the bright screen. Fold one list of things to do and set it aside. Place a glass of water within reach. Adjust the pillow so the neck feels supported. These small acts train the body to receive rest. I recall a night after a long trip. Jet lag had folded hours into a soft confusion. The mind kept checking clocks. The body was awake while every other part wanted sleep. I sat cross-legged on the floor and read a short passage. The words did not erase fatigue. They did not promise immediate sleep. They offered a hand to hold. That hand steadied the chest. The mind eased into steady breathing. Minutes later, the lids grew heavy. Rest began. The invitation in Matthew points to an exchange. Burdens in the mind can be heavy as stones. I imagine placing those stones into a shallow boat at the edge of a harbor. The boat rocks gently. A kind hand ties its line. The stones do not disappear. They rest safely out of reach. The water does not rush them away. They are simply kept, while the one who placed them can sit on the dock and breathe. There is a soft courage in choosing to come. It is not a loud bravery. It is a small decision to stop carrying. That decision may feel strange at first. Habit pulls toward holding tight. Let the habit loosen. Let fingers unclench around worry. Let the heart test the peace that comes when the load sits down. If dark thoughts press in, I do a small, steady thing. I name them briefly. Then I move attention to a single steady image. A low ember in a fireplace. A soft blanket folding over knees. A crescent moon steady in the sky. The mind will tug. Each tug needs a kind, patient redirection. The effort is quiet. It works over time. Mercy is a gentle presence in these moments. It tends without interrogation. It does not ask for justification of tiredness. It carries no ledger of performance. Mercy places a hand and stays. Imagine that hand resting lightly on the shoulder. It does not push. It does not measure. It simply keeps company. I read now a short line from the Bible that captures comfort. It speaks of finding rest when one comes in simple trust. The words are not a test. They are a refuge. Let them rest near the heart, like a small stone warmed by sunlight. Stones keep heat. They give back warmth slowly. So does this word. On nights when sleep will not come, I have a gentle routine. I stand at the window for a moment. I look at the sky. The shape of clouds calms. The far lights of the city are steady and patient. I breathe in the cool air. I let my hands hang loose at my sides. The body recognizes this as a stopping place. It knows that the day is done. Music can help. Not loud songs. Git. Slow melodies with a simple line. A single piano. A soft cello. A hymn sung low. Music becomes a thread that ties one breath to the next. It leads without demanding. Let a few measures play. Let the hands rest on the chest. Follow the rise and fall. Gratitude. Brief and honest. Eases tension. I say to myself one small thing, a kind word received. A short walk in light. A warm meal. The list is small. The practice is simple. It does not erase sorrow. It makes room for mercy. I also remember nights of grief. Grief has its own rhythm. It is not hurried. It needs permission to move. Tears come. Let them. They cleanse in their own way. Afterwards, a tiredness remains. But it is different. It is softer. The edges dull. In that softened place, the invitation to rest feels wide enough to fit sorrow and peace together. There are times when asking for help feels like a failure. Pride can make rest hard. It turns the act into a performance. The passage I read dissolves that pattern. The invitation is not limited to the strong. It goes first to the weary. It does not require proof of worth. It requires presence. Community matters. A quiet friend who checks in. A neighbor who leaves a mug of tea at the door. A voice that offers a short prayer. These gestures are practical mercy. They remind the heart it is not alone. If there is someone to call, consider a brief word. If not, imagine that steady company as real as the breath in the chest. I guide the body now in a slow scan. Feet relax. Calves soften. Knees melt a little into the bed. Hips sink. The lower back rests against the mattress. The belly moves gently with each breath. The chest rises and falls without effort. Shoulders drop. Neck rests heavy. The jaw loosens. Eyes feel loose in their sockets. Forehead smooths. The whole frame becomes a place for calm. Keep the breath steady. Inhale 4. Hold 2. Exhale 6. The pattern repeats. There is no hurry. This rhythm is a small anchor. Let thoughts travel past like birds. They land sometimes. They rise again. Let them be. I offer a simple closing practice. Picture a harbor dusk. Boats float side by side. Each vessel bears its cargo. The lights on the pier blink gently. You sit on the dock with your palms open. Each worry is a coin laid slowly into your hand and dropped into the water. The sound is soft. The water takes the coins to the bottom where they rest. You remain on the dock. You breathe. You are safe. Before this part ends, receive a quiet blessing. May you know rest that is honest. May it gather the frayed edges of the day. May mercy visit without condition. May a steady peace draw near like tide to shore. These are offered without pressure. They are simple hopes held for you. I close the Bible for a moment. The pages whisper. The lamp stays low. This reading will return in the next part with more gentle texts and small images for the night. For now, rest with the invitation that was spoken long ago. Let the mind accept the hand held out. Let the body ease into the mattress. Breathe once more, long and slow. Release the last tight thread of the day. I am here. I read into the quiet. Good night for now. I will come back with more calm. In the next part, I open the Bible and let the cover close softly against my palm. The pages feel familiar. The room keeps its hush. I read tonight about a strange and tender truth. It says that grace is enough. It says that strength can show up where weakness lives. The wording comes from a letter written long ago. It reached me on a night that felt too large for my own small hands. There was a time when life pressed in from many sides. Work stretched late into small hours. A family member's illness bent the days into new shapes. Quiet slipped away. Sleep became a rare guest. The body showed it. Muscles trembled with fatigue. Appetite disappeared. The mind circled the same worries like birds around a tall tree. Each worry found a perch. Each perched thought seemed ready to call out at any moment. I tried to carry everything as before. The habit of holding tight is strong. It feels noble at first. It feels like proof that one can manage. But holding often makes hands numb. Shoulders rise to meet burdens. The face becomes carved by strain. One night, a simple ache in the chest turned into a lesson. The doctor called it exhaustion. The body had run out of ordinary fuel. The quiet diagnosis was not a verdict of failure. It was an invitation to change. Rest began awkwardly. It came as a small permission rather than a profound change. Someone brought a warm drink and a soft blanket. Another person sat across the room and did not ask questions. The presence stayed steady. Names of tasks did not surface. That steadiness felt like a hand set on a shoulder. Not to push, but to steady a trembling frame. I turned to the Bible in that slow hour. The page opens to a letter by Paul. He speaks of a weakness he carries. He writes that he asked for relief. The answer he received is quiet and almost surprising. It tells him that grace is sufficient. It says that power finds its place in weakness. That line lands in the chest like a small stone dropped into still water. Rings of calm move out. The words are not magic. They are simple truth that shifts perspective. The shift is gentle. It begins with the acceptance that weakness is not shame. It becomes a doorway. Instead of denying the tiredness, I speak of it to someone who listens with a steady voice. The confession is brief. Saying it aloud loosens the hold. It had. The act of naming weakness turns it from a hidden weight into something that can be set down. In practice, setting down looks like simple acts. A calendar is closed. A phone move face down. A list of tasks finds a page to rest on. Meals are small and soothing. Sleep is not chased but invited. A pillow is fluffed. A light is left low. The body responds when given small. Kind signals. Muscles incurlent. Breathing finds a softer pace. The mind follows the body's new rhythm. Inside that slow recovery, a different kind of strength begins to show. It is not the old bristling energy of doing everything. It is a quiet hold that keeps on with what must be done. A gentle perseverance appears. Tasks that once felt monumental become small and manageable. The mind learns to measure effort in smaller pieces. The heart practices saying yes to help and no to excessive demands. I remember a morning when a simple walk felt like an act of courage. Feet moved along a quiet path. The air was cold. The breath smoked in small clouds. Each step counted. There was no rush. The body felt fragile. The steps were patient. In that patience, a strange ease came. The sense of being smaller than the world allowed new perspective. Weakness had not disappeared. It had been reframed. It became a place where compassion could grow for oneself and for others. Faith came as a companion in this reframing. It did not appear as sudden strength to conquer. It arrived as a soft reassurance. that grace holds in the spaces where power falters. Prayer, in that time, was short. It sounded more like resting the forehead on a cool palm and saying, simply, receive this. With no force, the act of handing over did not remove the work ahead. It removed the frantic insistence that everything depend on personal strength. There is a tenderness in being known to the one who invites rest. It is not a public accolade. It is a quiet recognition. The language of Scripture that says grace is enough does not demand achievement. It meets the bare need. That meeting carries a subtle power. It sustains, so that small acts of kindness, both given and received, become possible again. Weakness also reshapes relationships. Admitting need opens the heart to accept care. A neighbor's casserole tastes like mercy. A friend's text that says, "I'm here," becomes a bridge. These small gestures are not dramatic. They are like stitches in a fabric that was starting to fray. Each stitch binds edges back toward wholeness. It is not a rushing back to former capacity. It is a slow mending, steady and compassionate. There is also an odd humility that comes with this discovery. Expectations that once stood high and rigid begin to soften. Pride withdraws from the center. The center then becomes a place for gratitude instead. Gratitude is not a quick cheer. It is a steady recognition of a litany of small mercies. A warm bed, a clear sky, the regular rise and fall of breath. These things keep their place as daily gifts. I tell this story because it sits near the truth about power in weakness. The most profound strength I found was not in regaining old stamina quickly. It was in learning to rest into a gentler rhythm. That rhythm allowed new love to grow for the self and for others. It permitted the slow reconstruction of helpful habits. It opened room to listen better, to answer more kindly, and to give with less counting when nights are long and thoughts crowd. A simple practice helps me return to that place. I lie down and put both hands soft on the belly. I feel warmth there. With each breath, the hands rise and fall. The motion is slow and even. Counting is not needed. The attention rests on the moving center. A few words are spoken quietly in the mind. They are not elaborate prayers. They are an offering. Keep me gentle. Keep me honest. Keep me close. The words are small. They are enough. Grace, as lived in those seasons, shows in careful ways. It appears when a hard conversation does not end in bitterness. It appears when sleep finally comes after hours of thinking. It appears when a small act of mercy is given without expectation of return. Power is present, but it wears a soft face. It does not demand applause. It holds steady. There is a mercy in being allowed to be weak. It is relief to know that identity does not rest on performance. Resting into that relief is not passivity. It is a form of trust. Trust, sometimes, looks like allowing others to carry what one cannot, in a moment. It looks like taking one small step at a time. It looks like choosing to return to rest when the body calls for it. If fear returns in the night, the mind can be gently redirected. Picture a small candle in a dark room. Its light is not blinding. It is enough to see the next footstep, Let attention rest on that light for a few moments. Let it steady the breathing. The long exhale releases urgency. The inhale brings a small renewal. I keep a short line from that letter close. It is not a boast. It is a reminder. The phrase that grace is sufficient and that power is made perfect in weakness is a small stone I lay out on the windowsill. Some mornings I wake and the stone is covered in dust. I wipe it with a finger. The reminder is needed again. Other times it glows warm in the sun. Its presence steadies the day. Before this part of the reading closes, accept a gentle suggestion. Tonight, if a strain or worry feels heavy, try setting it down for a night. Place it in the imagination on a chair beside the bed. Cover it with a soft cloth. See it there without needing to fix it. Let the hands stay empty for a time. The body will learn to rest into the emptiness. The mind will follow. I give a blessing now in a quiet way. May mercy find the tired places. May gentleness come like rain to parched soil. May small strength grow where the heart feels thin. These are not sudden miracles. They are steady gifts that arrive through patient care. The Bible closes for a moment. The lamp keeps a low glow. I remain here, steady in voice, slow in breath. This story of weakness and grace is part of a longer journey. It does not erase the hard nights. It offers a steady companion through them. Tomorrow will bring its own needs. Tonight asks only for rest. I will return in the next part with more quiet readings and soft images. For now, breathe slowly. Let the eyelids grow heavy. Let the hands rest. Sleep in a room that is kept safe by a grace that is enough. Good night. I open the Bible and let the thin light of the lamp fall across the page. I read to you because the night is a safe time to hear small truths. Tonight I bring one that lives near the heart of many nights. The text I hold points to a simple practice. When things are named honestly, mercy follows. I read quietly a line from 1 John. It speaks of confession and of a cleansing that follows. I do not argue about meanings. I let the promise sit like a warm stone in the palm. The idea is plain. When we admit what is wrong, forgiveness comes. The act is gentle. It asks only honesty. Confession does not have to be loud. It is a quiet naming. It can be spoken in a whisper to the one who listens. It can be written on a page and folded. It can be placed in a small box on a table. The form matters less than the honesty. The practice of naming what hurts opens a soft door. I tell a story now. It is my story, and it holds no drama. It is ordinary and true. For years I carried a sharp regret. I replayed the moment in my mind. I said harsh words to someone I loved. The words were quick and thoughtless. They landed like pebbles. Over time they grew into stones. Each memory added weight. The chest tightened. Sleep thinned. Mornings came with a quiet dread. For a long time I kept the burden inside. I told myself that holding it showed care. I thought that remembering would prevent repeating the mistake. But the memory did not protect. It lingered. It hardened into a small bitterness. It made the edges of simple joys feel rough. One evening I read again the promise about confession. The line met me like a hand. I decided to try the small work it asked. I do not describe a dramatic confession. I speak of small, honest acts. I write the memory on a single sheet of paper. I name the words I had used and the way it must have felt. I place the paper on the table. I breathe. I pray a quiet sentence in my mind show me where I am blind. Then I do two things that feel like truth. First, I speak to the loved one. The voice is small. The apology is simple and honest. I do not justify. I do not collect explanations. I say I was wrong, and I am sorry. The act of saying it aloud releases a pressure I had carried for too long. The other person listens. The response is not perfect reconciliation. It is a beginning. A small bridge appears. Second, I bring the paper to prayer. I fold it and place it beneath the closed Bible. I lay my hand on the cover. I confess the hurt in a few short words. The confession is not a plea for permission. It is an offering of truth. I let the whisper of the promise fill the space. I imagine the weight shifting off the chest. The body responds. The shoulders drop. Breath lengthens. Forgiving myself does not happen all at once. It is a slow untying. I must practice kindness toward the self. I speak gently in the quiet hours. I remind the heart that mistakes do not cancel personhood. I repeat a small sentence like a lullaby. You are known, and you are loved. These words are not magical. They are steady medicine. Healing follows in small ways. Nights become less crowded with replayed pain. Mornings bring a clearer taste of coffee. Conversations do not feel hazardous. The lungs breathe more fully. The memory is still there. It sits in a different place now. It is not an anchor, but a lesson. The body moves more freely. I describe another scene. This one is about forgiving someone else who had caused a long hurt. The hurt was older than me. It shaped family rhythms. It lowered the ceiling of laughter. Quiet suspicion lived in corners. People arranged their steps carefully. One afternoon, a relative reached out with a small act, a hand-drawn note left on a door, a casserole at the kitchen threshold. The gestures did not demand answers. They asked nothing grand. They simply showed presence. In that small presence, he felt a softening inside. Forgiveness did not happen as a grand decision. It came as a slow thaw. I stopped rehearsing the wrong. I stopped rehearsing my rightness. I sat instead with the person across the table and listened. Listening is not agreement. It is a gift that opens rooms. The act of listening made space for new words. The apology offered was brief and honest. The forgiveness I gave was an offering. It did not erase the past. It allowed us to move forward without carrying the same loads. Relief came as a physical thing. The jaw unclenched. Sleep returned in deeper measures. I noticed that the hands stopped working tight in tasks. Meals tasted sweeter. The family's small rituals regained color. The healing was not perfect. It was good enough. It moved us along a path that bends toward mercy. These scenes show a practice more than a principle. The practice is simple. Name the wrong. Offer the name to the one who keeps watch. Speak the name in a trusted ear when it is safe. Let the body notice the lightening. Let the heart receive repair in small measures. I guide you now through a gentle exercise that often helps when confession feels too large. Lie back. Place both hands over the heart. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. Repeat this 3 times. With each breath, imagine loosening a string around the chest. Picture one small item of regret sliding off the string and falling into the palm. It is a soft fall. The palm opens and releases it. Watch the item dissolve like paper in water. If the mind protests, by producing reasons to keep the hurt, do not argue. Name the thought and set it beside the Bible on a small shelf in the mind. Let it rest there for morning. For now, return to the breath and to the small image of release. The practice is low pressure. It asks only for small, honest movements. The promise of forgiveness is paired with grace. Grace is not earned by cleverness. It is not counted on a ledger. It arrives when confession is offered in truth. Grace meets the fragile moment and holds it. In the quiet, I think of grace as a soft net below the tightrope of regret. When I step and falter, the net catches. It does not shame. It receives. Embracing grace changes the rhythm of the night. The habit of hiding shrinks. The urge to explain lessens. The courage to be honest grows. Admitting faults becomes an act of care rather than a source of fear. The heart learns that openness is safer than secrecy. There are small, practical ways to welcome this grace into ordinary evenings. Keep a small journal by the bed. Let one page be a place to name brief confessions and small hopes. Write one sentence only. Fold the page and place it under the lamp. Let it stay overnight as a quiet witness. Another practice is to speak a simple phrase into the quiet. I give this to you. The phrase is not theological debate. It is a small act of handing over. Part of my duty as the one who reads this Bible to you is to make room for such practices. I read not to command. I read to invite. I read because holy words can be soft companions at the edge of sleep. The promise about confession and forgiveness is one of those companions. Let it sit near the bed like a lantern. Forgiving someone else sometimes requires a boundary. Forgiveness does not always mean returning to the exact same place. It may mean keeping distance while releasing rage. Mercy and safety can coexist. Saying yes to peace does not mean saying no to wisdom. In the quiet, wisdom and mercy can be held together like 2 small stones in the palm. I keep a memory of the night after my small act of confession. The room is clear. Rain knocks softly on the window. The air smells clean. I lie awake and listen to the rain. The weight on the chest is smaller. The mind flutters but does not seize. I feel warmth in the center where the hands lie. A quiet smile comes and then goes. It is not triumphant. It is a soft acceptance. The experience says that mercy works slowly and steadily. Before I close this part, I offer a short invitation. If there is something you carry tonight that presses against sleep, consider naming it. Speak it aloud in the dark if that feels safe. Put it on paper if speaking is too large. Offer it to the one who is steady. Then do a small physical practice. Fold the paper. Place it in a drawer. Turn the lamp low. Breathe. Let the night do its work. I will read more in the next part. I will bring other quiet texts and small images. For now, accept this blessing. May a clean mercy touch whatever you admit tonight. May a soft peace follow the naming. May grace meet you in those small steps toward honesty. Rest now with the simple promise that confession opens a door, and that through it, healing often comes. Good night. I sit with the Bible on my lap. The lamp throws a soft circle of light. My voice stays low. Tonight I carry two small treasures. One is the idea that grace is a gift. The other is a peace that does not require explanation. The letter to the Ephesians speaks of gift and faith. It says simply that grace comes before any work. It comes as favor not earned. I do not unpack theology. I hold the sentence like a warm stone. The warmth steadies the hand. A short story comes with that stone. It is quiet. It is true for me. Years ago. The path ahead felt narrow. A door had closed. Bills waited like patient papers on the table. Pride pressed against asking for help. The mind argued that asking would mean failure. The heart whispered something softer. A neighbor arrived one evening with no announcement. There was a casserole. There was a small note tucked under the lid. The note did not list reasons. It simply said an offer of help. The meal was ordinary. The presence was not loud. It was steady. That simple favor unhooked a line of shame. It allowed the breathing to change. A week later, a stranger from a church I had never visited handed an envelope across a table. Inside, a check for a small rent gap. The hand that gave did not demand explanation. The face that offered wore no judgment. The gift felt undeserved. It felt like grosse faith in a God who notices small needs got a shape in that room. The heart that night learned something new. Help can come where trying and perfect answers are absent. I tell this story not to claim virtue. I tell it as an offering for the ears. Mercy often arrives in plain things. Meals, notes, envelopes, quiet hands. These are not solutions to all problems. They are signs that a world holds enough room for care beyond what is earned. That undeserved favor illuminated the path forward. It did not erase struggle. It changed how I moved through the next days. A small relief let the breath slow. Decisions that had seemed heavy became possible in smaller steps. The gift taught me to receive before I felt fully worthy. I read that verse about grace again in the lamplight. The words rest there like a lantern. I let them warm my palms. Grace is not a reward for perfect effort. It is a hand offered when the hands are empty. Now a different verse comes to mind. It speaks of a peace that surpasses tidy reasons. The phrase suggests a calm so deep it guards the heart and the thinking. I imagine that peace as a ribbon laid across the chest. It holds the scattered thoughts in a gentle fold. Peace beyond understanding does not bargain with the mind. It does not insist on answers for every why. It comes like dusk over a field. The sun does not explain itself. The field becomes soft by its presence. So does the heart when peace arrives. I remember a night when worry would not stop. The mind mapped problems in bright, stubborn lines. Sleep seemed like something distant. I read the short verse about peace. and let it sit. I did not demand immediate sleep. I did not force faith into loud words. I sat and breathed. In that breathing, a small thing happened. The chest loosened. Thoughts still came, but they rode less like storms and more like birds passing. The space between one thought and the next grew. That space held a quiet companion. It was not an answer to every question. It was a steadying presence. I invite a gentle practice now. It is small and simple. Lie back or settle into a chair. Close the eyes only if that feels safe. Place a hand lightly on the chest and one on the belly. Breathe in slowly for 4 counts. Hold for 2. Breathe out for 6. Let the exhale be the longest. Repeat this rhythm 3 times. As you breathe, picture peace as a cool mist. It settles at the crown of the head. It drifts down over the shoulders. It smooths the lines near the brow. It flows across the rib cage to the hands. The mist does not strip away feeling. It gently dampens the edges of sharp worry. If intrusive thoughts come, name them softly. Do not chase them. Imagine placing each thought on a small leaf. Set the leaf on a calm pool. Watch it float away. The pool stays still. It reflects the night sky without needing words. The act of letting go is itself a kind of faith. There is a tenderness in the promise of peace. It does not rely on clever arguments. It rests on an invitation to be still. The mind may object that stillness will allow problems to swell. The practice proves otherwise. Stillness makes room to see what is possible in the morning. It clears a path to small steps. I tell another brief memory. The storm of a day once left hands that trembled with busyness. Night came, with a list that blazed across the inner gaze. I took a breath and named one worry aloud. Saying the single hard thing made it smaller. A neighbor sent a text that said, simply, thinking of you. The text did not solve the problem. It was a small bridge. The peace that night was not total. It was enough to sleep in pieces and to wake with a steadier pace. Peace also carries the work of guarding the mind. Guarding does not mean shutting out. It means sheltering. Imagine a soft fence around a bed. The fence does not lock the world out. It keeps vivid anxieties at a respectful distance, while allowing small comforts in. The mind rests behind that fence. Dreams can come and go without being hijacked by fear. When anxiety returns, the habit of returning to breath works. Here is a second practice for the night. Focus on the inhale. Count slowly to 4. Feel the rise in the chest. Allow the exhale to stretch to 7. Make the out-breath longer by a gentle margin. Let the body follow the breath. The throat softens. The jaw releases. The limbs loosen. The mind accepts the rhythm. Sometimes peace arrives as the quiet assurance that more is held than what the eyes see. A meal shared, a stranger's small favor, a note left on a doorstep. These acts embody grace. They point toward a world where mercy waits at the margins. I keep a small ritual for such nights. I open the Bible to a page and rest a finger at the verse that speaks of peace. The page feels cool. The finger waits. I fold a corner of the page as a small sign that I will return. The act is not superstition. It is a tiny promise to myself that I will remember how certain lines once steadied me. If regret arises. I do not argue with it. I name it and hand it the same breath that holds the promise of peace. The two can coexist. Regret can sit at the table while peace pours a cup. The room does not empty of sorrow. It simply adds a place for rest. The willingness to hold both is part of the healing. There will be nights where the mind sharpens like a winter wind. On those nights, find one small task that is kind to the body. Smooth a blanket. Turn a page of a book slowly. Sip warm water. These acts are not escape. They are invitations to the body to relax. The mind will follow if the body gives the cue. Faith and peace do not always travel with fanfare. Often they arrive in small, almost unnoticed moments. A hand on a shoulder, a note of help from an unexpected source, a word that says, "I am here." Without judging, these moments teach the heart to receive without building elaborate defenses. Before this part closes, accept a short blessing. May peace find the hard places tonight. May a gift of grace come disguised in small acts. May the chest ease and the mind find a broader sky. These are not promises of effortless nights. They are steady hopes for nights that teach the body and spirit to rest. I will read again tomorrow. I will bring more small passages and quiet stories that hold the mood of this hour. For now, settle into the breath. Let the hand on your chest feel the slow rise and fall. If sleep arrives, let it come without hurry. If wakefulness remains, keep the breathing and the soft images, and return when calm permits. I close the Bible gently for a moment. The lamp keeps a low glow. I remain here in the hush. The world narrows to the rhythm of a slow breath. I stay with that rhythm until the mind finds its own pace. Good night for now. I will come back with more words that gently hold the night. I open the Bible and let my fingers rest on the thin page. The lamp keeps a small circle of light. My voice is low and steady. Tonight, I come to a short, brief promise. It is from Romans. It says in plain terms that nothing can separate us from the love that holds us. I do not argue the lines. I let the meaning settle like rain on dry soil. The words are simple enough to carry into the dark. They say that there is no distance too wide, no fear too large, no night too deep. Even the things that seem to push away the failures, the long silences, the small betrayals do not remove that steady hold. The idea is not a tidy rule. It is a sheltering truth. I think of this love as an ocean that keeps its surface calm near the shore. The tide never forgets the land. It comes and it goes. Storms may raise waves. The water may beat at the rocks. Under that movement, the deep current keeps steady. It is not frantic. It is persistent. In that steadiness, something like safety grows. There is a memory I carry into these hours. It comes from a hospital corridor. Machines hummed like distant bees. Footsteps fell careful and quick. A friend sat near the window with a thin blanket over the knees. The diagnosis was heavy. Hope seemed fragile. Fear moved like a small animal in the edges of the room. I did not know how to fix the situation. I could not lay hands and make everything right. I could speak only a few plain words. I read a short passage from the Bible, and then I sat with quiet. The reading was not loud. It did not remove the ache. Something else happened. A calm came that had no obvious source. The friend's hand found mine. The clasp was simple and real. In that grip, the sense of being utterly alone slipped away. I felt a steady promise beneath the noise. It felt like love that refuses to let go. That night taught me how love can be present without solving. Mercy sits like a warm blanket. It does not answer all questions. It keeps someone close while the work of the morning still waits. The memory returns when nights grow thin. It becomes a small lamp on the bedside table. When I read the verse in Romans again at the lamp, I let its outline shape a slow picture. I picture a chain made of small links. Some links look battered. Some look new. Nothing breaks the chain. Nothing can make it lose its purpose. The chain is not a metal link that binds harshly. It is more like a golden rope woven through the world's days. It anchors the heart. There are nights when fear plays louder than reason. It pushes sharp images across the mind. It rehearses endings and losses. On those nights, a practice helps. It is small and quiet. Place a hand on the chest. Feel the gentle beat there. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold for 2. Give out a long, slow breath for 6 counts. Repeat. Let the breath slow the rush. Let the hand remember that steady beat. The body keeps time even when the mind races. As the breathing steadies, imagine a warm light at the center of the chest. It is not a harsh flame. It is a slow ember. It warms from the inside. The love that cannot be separated is like that ember. It does not shout. It does not demand. It stays. Let the warmth spread from the chest to the shoulders. Let it roll down the arms. Let it settle at the palms. The world beyond the room can remain uncertain. This small warmth does its quiet work. I recall a time of loss that carried long days. Grief moved in slow stages. Some days, the chest felt hollow. Other days, the mind filled with a static noise of questions. I found a rhythm in small, repeated things. A cup warmed in the hands. A friend brought bread. A neighbor left a note by the door. Each small mercy felt like a reminder that love moves in plain ways. It is not always dramatic. It appears in steady, ordinary acts that hold a person when the world seems to tilt. When that love comes close, it often arrives with memory. I remember my grandmother's kitchen. A radiu med kiedli, bread cooled on a dishcloth. Her hands moved in habits she learned long ago. She did not need many words. She sat and her presence said enough. The kind of love that cannot be separated often looks like a hand that keeps at work, small and patient, across years. Tonight, I tell this as I read, because the heart needs images to trust. Words can become slippery in the dark. Pictures help. Picture a tree planted by a river. Seasons change above. Winds test the branches. The soil may shift in places. Still, the roots go deep into the water. The tree bends and sways. It does not uproot. That stubborn anchoring is a quiet picture of love that holds through loss, through change, through tired nights. There is also a gentle admonition in the thought that nothing separates. It is not meant to make the small sorrows vanish into platitudes. Rather, it helps to hold the sorrows alongside a steady hope. The way to do this is simple. Let the sorrow be named. Speak it in a whisper. If loud speech feels too harsh, place it into the hands of that steady presence. Then let the hands be open. Do not clutch the grief until it bruises. Grace often flows through other people. There is a kindness in those who arrive with no fanfare. I keep a small list in my mind of such moments. A friend who brought an umbrella when it rained without being asked. A neighbor who fixed a squeaky door. A parishioner who left flowers with a short note. These acts are not grand. They are small threads that form a fabric. The fabric holds a life so that the nights are less cold. I avoid heavy conclusions. There is no need to settle arguments in the dark. The night favors simpler truths. One of them is this: you are not alone. The phrase might sound familiar. Familiarity sometimes dulls its sharp relief. So I say it again in a soft way. You are not alone. Even if words fail, the presence remains. If sleep resists, try a short exercise of memory and breath. Lie back. Close the eyes if that feels safe. Think of a moment when someone offered a simple kindness. Keep it small. The smell of coffee made for a sick friend. A warm scarf returned on a cold day. Hold that image for 3 breaths. On each out-breath, say to the heart, stay. The act is not to solve the grief. It is to rest it next to the memory that love moves in small mercies. There may be worries that circle back to the big questions. Will the hurt end? Will the loneliness fade? Those questions are real. They deserve care and thinking. In the night, however, a different posture helps. Let the questions be companions rather than commanders. Offer them a seat and do not let them steer the whole night. There is space for both doubt and trust in the small hours. I find solace in short, steady reminders. One is that love has been proven not by absence of difficulty, but by presence through it. The Bible shows many hard scenes where love keeps going. The message is that endurance is not absence of pain. It is commitment to presence in pain. If that sounds distant, bring it near with a small image, a candle left burning in a dark room so someone can find their way home. The candle does not chase away the night. It gives direction and warmth. There is also a practical habit that helps me return to the sense of being held. Keep a small object by the bedside. It can be a stone, a bracelet, a folded slip of paper. When nights become anxious, pick up the object. Feel its texture. Let its weight be a reminder that something holds. The object does not change the story. It changes the posture. The hands relax. The jaw unclenches. The mind can follow. If tears come, let them. They are not a failure. Tears are the body's way of honoring the hurt. They do not separate a person from love. More often, they bring the heart to a tenderness that makes space for comfort. A hand on the shoulder, a quiet breath shared, or simply the knowledge of an unbroken presence can follow those tears like steady rain after heat. I keep a line from Romans close in the quiet. It is not a slogan to chase away feeling. It is a promise to return to when the mind frays. The promise says that even the greatest distances cannot cut the thread of love. The promise says that even death itself is not the final thief of that connection. These are heavy terms. In the night, they become soft and useful. They steady like a hand on a railing when stepping down into a dark stair. Before this part closes, accept a small blessing. May the knowledge of being held come even in slow measures. May a steady love press close like a warm shawl. May the mind find quieter places where hope can rest. These words are not a cure. They are an invitation to sleep with the assurance that something greater keeps vigil. I close the Bible gently for a moment. The lamp remains low. My voice drops to its softest tone. Rest, now with the picture in mind, a current that never forgets the shore. Let it hold the day's loose ends. Let the breath follow its gentle rhythm. I will return in the next part with more quiet readings and calm images. For now, sleep and know that nothing, not fear, not failure, not the dark separates you from this steady, everlasting love. Good night. I sit again with the Bible on my lap. The lamp makes a soft circle on the page. My voice is low. I read because the night asks for quiet truth. Tonight the word I carry is the promise that banishes fear. It sits simple and steady. Its shape is a hand held out in the dark. Fear feels like a close thing sometimes. It presses at the ribs. It makes the throat tight. It makes sleep a distant shore. I know this feeling. I have met it often. In those moments the heart moves fast, and the mind runs like a small animal in a maze. Thoughts pile up. Breath shortens. The room seems larger and lonelier at once. The verse I turn to is named in Isaiah. I do not repeat the script in loud words. I only bring the reassurance it gives. It says, "Do not be afraid." It says a steady presence is with the one who trembles. It promises strength and help. It promises holding until fear loses its sharp edges. The line is simple. It rests like a cool hand on fevered skin. I let it rest there for a long beat. The most recent time fear arrived in a heavy way is a memory I keep close. I move through it, not to relive pain, but to show how a quiet promise can change the night. I had moved cities for work. A new apartment looked like a clean page. The boxes were stacked in one neat corner. The windows showed a stretch of city lights. They were pretty on the surface. Inside, quiet lived like an empty room. Weeks passed. Days blurred. The first evenings were small and curious. Then a thin ache settled in the middle of the night. I woke to a silence that was not restful. It was a space that had no echoes. Friends were far. Family stayed in another time zone. The phone did not ring. The grief of being a stranger in a familiar home pushed at the ribs. The fear that God might be distant braided itself with the other fears. I felt untethered. The body notices fear before words arrive. My hands felt numb at times. Sleeplessness came in waves. A small sweat sat on the brow. Thoughts multiplied. I walked the apartment at odd hours. The small lamp at the dining table became a companion. I paced and breathed shallow. Night extended like an open field. The mind kept looking for a fence. On one of those long nights, I opened the Bible. The pages are soft, under my fingers. I turned to that familiar line and read it quietly. The verse does not force, calm all at once. It says, in a steady way, "Do not fear. I listen to the syllables like a friend who will not go away. I do not need to argue with the mind. I only let the promise stand beside the racing thoughts. A small practice begins to matter. I place a hand on my chest. I count the breaths. In for 4, hold for 2, out for 6. The action is small and slow. The numbers do not feel clever. They feel like a metronome that steadies a shaking violin. Breath lengthens. The jaw relaxes. The tightness eases by degrees. Then I do something that feels brave in its gentleness. I name the fear in a quiet sentence. The naming is not a shout. It is a small act of honesty. The word turns the phantom into a thing I can see. Once it has a shape, I ask for help. I do not demand it. I hand the fear to the presence I have been reading about. The handing feels like placing a heavy parcel on a bench. Muscles enclenchent. The chest breathes. Connection returns not in a roaring answer. It comes in small, steady ways. A neighbor drops by with a loaf of bread and does not leave an explanation. The gesture reads like a sentence. You are seen. Another evening, a message arrives from a friend who remembers the date and writes only a line of quiet support. The line does not cure the longings. It threads the loneliness into a fabric with holes still. But the threads hold. Divine love shows up in these small acts. Sometimes it arrives without a human intermediary. Other times it flows through a person's hands. One night I sit by the window. Rain taps the glass like a small drum. In the rhythmic sound, a memory surfaces. I remember sitting on a porch years ago and feeling the same rain on my knees. My grandmother's voice is not present now, but the memory is. It carries a tenderness that feels like prayer without words. The memory acts as an anchor. There is also a quieter, interior reconnection. When fear presses, I place my palms together and rest them lightly at the sternum. I feel the warmth there. I recall the assurance from Isaiah. The words do not shout away the fear. They make room for it. They say that the presence is close, not because I must be good enough, but because presence comes to those who tremble. Recovery from fear is not linear. It moves like tide. Some nights, the calm runs high and steadies everything. Other nights, fear returns, smaller or larger, and I must practice the same small faith steps again. Repeat becomes a gentle craft. Breathing, naming, placing weight in the hands, looking for a neighbor's kindness. Listening for memory that comforts these rituals form a new habit. There is one evening that stands out. A late autumn wind knocks at the window. I feel a hollowness settle that wants to turn into despair. I read the verse once more and then put the Bible down. I light a candle. The flame is modest and steady. I place a small object by the candle, an old coin from childhood. Smooth from many palms, I hold the coin and I whisper a brief offering in my mind. No bachatan. No speech. Just a simple handing over, Keep this fear with you for a night. The effect is small and honest. The hands stop trembling. The breath slows. Sleep edges closer. I do not wake that morning entirely free of fear, but the ache has softened. The day moves with a steadier pace. The sense of being alone is less absolute. A thread of connection has returned. Practical steps matter as well. I call one friend who answers with patience. The voice on the other end is not a fix. It is a companion. I join a small group that meets once a week to read softly and share short prayers. The group is not theological debate. It is a circle of hands holding each other in simple ways. The presence of others helps reshape my habits. Fear does not evaporate. It becomes less commanding. The core truth that helps me night after night is simple. Presence outlasts panic. The promise that says do not fear includes an action presence. Strength, help, those are steady verbs. They do the work. They do not require dramatic proof. They show up in small, reliable form. When fear arises now, I use a short practice. I breathe in 4, hold for 2, breathe out for 6. I place a hand on the chest, and I say in my mind a single line, I am not alone. I do not use the words to ward off thought, like a talisman. I allow them to be a steady fact. Then I look for one small act of care I can accept or offer. Sometimes I answer a text. Sometimes I warm a small cup of tea. Sometimes I walk to the window and watch a single car pass. These acts do not look heroic. They are small repairs. The Bible remains my quiet companion in this work. I read the pages more like lanterns than law. The verses do not demand miraculous change. They offer presence. They show me how to move when the night presses. I am the one who reads them to you now. I read not to fix fears for others. I read to remind both of us that a steady hand is near. Fear loses its power when it meets honesty and a steady presence. That presence is not an abstract doctrine. It is a touch. A note. A neighbor's loaf. A friend's voice. A memory of a lap warmed by a familiar hand. It is also the quiet insistence of a promise kept through nights. Over time, the habits built around that promise become the tools by which fear is shortened. If the fear in your chest is loud tonight, try a small experiment with me. Lie back. Place one hand on the sternum. Breathe slow. Let the heartbeat be the metronome. Picture a thin rope tied to the center of your chest. Imagine the rope leading out of the room, down a calm street, and into a house where a lamp is always on. The rope does not tug you away from responsibility. It only keeps you connected to a steady light. Follow its line for a few breaths. Allow the tension to ease. Before this part closes, accept a short blessing that is simple and sincere. May fear find a companion that steadies it. May the night bring small acts of care that remind the heart it is not alone. May the promise of presence hold you gently until morning comes. The Bible closes softly. The candle goes down to a small glow. My voice lowers to its quietest tone. Rest. Now. Let breath lengthen. Let the hand on the chest feel the slow rise and fall. I will return in the next part with more calm readings and soft words. For now, sleep with the gentle assurance that fear can be met and that help is near. Good night. I sit with the Bible open and a thin lamp between us. The room breathes slow. Words from Proverbs come like a quiet map. They point not to clever plans, but to a steady guide, trusting guidance rather than reasoning alone. Let the mind rest in that, not because it is easy, but because it is gentle. A memory comes forward. It is not dramatic. It is small and ordinary. A letter arrives in a week already crowded with decisions. The choice feels urgent. Logic lines up reasons like neat stones. Each reason looks convincing. The hands want to act. The head wants proof. The heart resists the rush. Outside. Rain makes a soft sound on the sill. The lamp throws a small pool of light. Instead of answering quickly, there is a pause. A short practice begins. Breathe in for 4. Hold 2. Breathe out for 6. The breath becomes a gentle metronome. The chest eases. The list in the mind loosens its grip. A quiet question rises. Am I certain? This is the only way. It is not a search for clever alternatives. It is a simple asking for direction. The posture is small. It is not a surrender of reason. It is a turning of the will toward a steadier counsel. In that stillness, a memory of a soft verse surfaces. It does not solve the logic puzzle. It offers a different frame. The frame asks for trust. Not reckless trust. Not impulsive hope. A calm leaning into wisdom that is larger than immediate sight. A decision is made to wait until morning. The choice feels strange at first. Waiting is often mistaken for weakness. Here it is, an act of faith. The hands close the letter and tuck it aside. The phone is left face down. The lamp remains low. The wrists unclench. Sleep comes with less resistance. Morning arrives with a slow clarity. The mind that had demanded immediate action looks different in daylight. New information has come. A phone call fills in a piece that logic had missed. The choice that felt urgent the night before now appears less urgent at all. The waiting did not leave things worse. It did not remove responsibility. It invited counsel and clarity. The body thanks the small restraint. The heart breathes easier. This is not a formula. It is a practice. It honors the fact that hearts and minds need room to receive guidance. Some choices require swift thinking. Others benefit from patience. Distinguishing between the two is itself a skill to be learned in quiet hours. Another scene is gentler still. It is about a map folded on a kitchen table. A path is drawn. Neat and sensible. Logic approves the route. It promises efficiency. There is a quiet prompting to take a different road. One that goes past a field and an old, unnamed church. The prompting has no guarantee. It is only an internal urging to trust a softer direction. Choosing that softer road leads to an unexpected rest stop. A stranger under an umbrella shares a small fact that rearranges a worry. A child's laugh from a playground breaks the tension a knot had held. The detour does not solve the entire problem. It only changes the angle, and that altered angle reveals a kinder way forward. Logic never promised the same opening. Faith gave space for surprise. Guidance often arrives in small, practical forms. a quiet friend who listens without fixing, a delayed reply that frees a hurried hand, a song that arrives at the right moment and loosens the chest. These are not grand signs. They are tiny mercies that guide the next step. Listen for the soft voice that prefers slow action. It will not always be audible at once. It may come as a feeling of ease around a choice. It may come as a resistance to what appeared sensible at first. It may come as a small light in the chest when a decision leans toward mercy rather than gain. Learn to notice these small textures. A practice helps in the evening when choices pile up. Make a short list. Rank items by urgency and by heart. For one item that feels pressing, practice delaying an immediate solution for a night. Put it briefly into prayer or quiet thought. Ask for guidance. Place a hand softly over the heart. Let the breath lengthen. Release the need for instant certainty. Another practice is to name the decision aloud to a single trusted person. Say it plainly, and then listen. Do not defend. Do not argue. Hear what comes back as a simple reflection. Often, another voice will not solve the issue. It will reframe it. That reframing gives room for wisdom to move. Counsel matters. Wisdom rarely comes from isolation. People who know you can point out blind spots. Those who have walked similar paths can offer small, useful maps. Bring the decision into a mild circle of care. Ask for prayer, for fresh eyes, for a simple question that reveals a new angle. The act of sharing is not weakness. It is a humble use of community. Trusting guidance is not the same as ignoring reason. Rather, it invites reasoning to work together with a quieter wisdom. The two belong together like hands holding a lantern. Reason holds facts and patterns. Guidance offers direction when facts alone do not suffice. Both are needed for careful movement through life. There will be nights when the impulse to control feels strong. Control often sounds reasonable. It promises security. It frames action as protection. In those times, naming the control aloud can be freeing. Say to the self, this urge comes from fear. I will add a short pause, then breathe and choose a small alternative. That small pause becomes a discipline or a team. The pause becomes a place where guidance can enter. A short ritual helps to signal the end of such a night. Fold the decisions into a small box in the imagination. Draw the lid closed. Place the box on a bedside table near a dim lamp. Tell the self that the box will be opened in the morning with fresh light and perhaps new counsel. This imagery does not remove responsibility. It rearranges it. The mind learns that some decisions benefit from rest. There are also moments when faith calls for immediate action. Discernment is needed. The quiet does not always mean delay. Sometimes the prompting is clear and swift. The discernment between stillness and action becomes a habit formed by practice. Habits grow in small steps. The more often the pattern of pausing and listening is practiced, the better the judgment becomes about when to wait and when to move. Another simple aid is scripture tucked into the night. Proverbs offers very practical counsel. It invites trust and promises direction. Reading a short line and then closing the eyes can be like placing a soft compass on the chest. The compass does not replace thought. It supports it with a steady orientation. When guidance seems distant, look for small corroborations. A recurring idea in quiet moments. A steady peace about one option. Friendly nudges from people who care. A closing of some doors without forced effort. Patterns matter. They do not command. They simply appear as helpful markers on the road. Keep a small journal by the bedside. When guidance seems to come, jot the moment down. A few words will do. In the morning, review the note. Often clarity deepens. Sometimes the note reveals a pattern that had been invisible in the immediate pressure of choice. A last gentle scene is about a ship at night. The captain does not see every wave. The crew does not know every current. They trust the lighthouse, the charts, and careful hands. Guidance is like that lighthouse. It does not remove storms. It helps keep the course. Steering with both hands on the wheel and an eye on the shore is a practice of trust. Before this part closes, accept a small invitation. If a decision presses tonight, choose one small act of faith. Wait one breath longer before reacting. Offer the choice to prayer or quiet thought. Place the worry in a folded paper and set it on the bedside table. Sleep into the waiting a little. Morning may bring clearer air and kinder answers. Receive a final blessing in a soft way. May guidance arrive like a gentle hand on the shoulder. May choices be held with patience. May trust grow in small, honest steps. These words are not a decree. They are an offering to steady the night. The Bible closes softly. The lamp keeps its low glow. I will return in the next part with more quiet words and simple practices to hold the night. For now, rest in the small assurance that guidance often comes when the mind stops trying to do all the seeing. Good night. Part 10. Renewed Hope. I open the Bible and let the soft light settle across the page. A short line rests there about future plans and hope. It says the plan is to prosper and to give a hopeful future. I say the idea softly. The words land like a small promise set on the bedside table. Hope here is not a loud violin. It is a quiet, steady drumbeat under the day. Imagine a small seed tucked into dark, warm soil. Nothing dramatic happens at once. Water and time do their gentle work. In the night, the seed sleeps and the root moves. That slow motion is hope. It keeps going even when eyes must trust what cannot yet be seen. There is a particular night that brings the line to life. The day before had been full of small defeats. Blanchifted. Money felt tight. A loved one sounded tired on the phone. The list of adjustments stretched across the kitchen counter like a road map. Each item looked like a roadblock. Tiredness sat heavy in the ribs. I sat at the window and read the promise again. The lamp warmed the page. The city lights outside were steady in the rain. The sentence about a future and hope felt like a lantern placed on a dark path. It did not remove the roadblocks. It changed the way the path looked. The map did not shrink. The heart felt less alone walking it. Hope in this sense is an expectation small enough to cradle and large enough to carry. It is not a guarantee that all things will bend to ease. It is an assurance that the struggle has a place in a larger story. The promise does not erase pain. It frames it so that pain does not become the whole of the night. A practical step helps when worry presses. Take a small piece of paper. Write down one hope for tomorrow. No big speeches. One simple line. A conversation that goes well. An hour of rest. Clarity about a choice. Fold the paper and place it under the lamp. The act is not magic. It trains the hands to trust. It trains the heart to look for small openings. The folded note is a gentle witness that the future is still being shaped. There is another image that steadies these hours. Picture harbor dusk. Boats sit tied to the pier. Some list slightly. Some take on water in a storm and must be tended. The harbor itself remains. It is wide enough for those boats to find shelter. The promise of plans and hope is like the harbor. It does not force the sea to cease. It gives a place to anchor. Breathing with this image helps. Breathe in 4. Hold 2. Breathe out 6. Picture each exhale loosening the tension a little further. With each breath, imagine the harbor growing wider and the anchor sitting more quiet. The body relaxes as the mind repeats the small ritual. Anticipation of a hopeful future can feel risky. Expectation opens the self to disappointment. That is true. Still, the gentle bet here is that hope is a companion that steadies the steps. It helps the heart to rise when morning comes. It steadies small acts, answering a difficult call, sending a short message of apology, stepping out to ask for help. Hope is the light that makes the next step visible. When hope feels far, look for small corroborations. A neighbor who waters a forgotten plant, a friend who remembers a birthday, a quiet sermon line that lands in the mind. These small things are not proof of a grand plan. They are the stitches that stitch the night into morning. Collect them mentally like pebbles in a pocket. When morning seems far, reach into the pocket and let a pebble sit in your hand. There is also the work of letting go of certain outcomes. Hope is not the same as control. It does not demand a script. It is less a list of musts and more a breath that leans into a possibility. Practice this by naming one outcome and then releasing it into the night. Imagine placing it on a small boat and sending it off on the imagined harbor. Watch it drift without chasing. Repeat the breathing and notice the chest become lighter. I remember a season when plans dissolved. A job that looked secure changed overnight. A house plan shifted to a different town. The brain recorded losses like a ledger. The first response was to hold on tighter. That only increased anxiety. The second response, learned slowly, was to edge into hope. Steps were small one night of honest conversation with a friend. A prayer that was short and not trying to fix everything. A cup of tea taken slowly. Those small acts became the scaffolding for a future rebuilt in patient pieces. Hope often shows up through other people. Someone offering an unexpected ride. An email that arrives with good news about a small grant. A child laughing at nothing in particular. These are quiet signs, not dramatic conversions. Notice them. Let them be the chorus under the lonely song. The chorus is enough to keep the heart moving toward morning. At the bedside, hold a brief sentence in the mind as a lantern for sleep. Make it simple and true. There is hope for tomorrow. repeated slowly with the breath. Let each repetition be like a stone placed across a stream. One by one, a stepping path forms. The body can walk those stones into sleep. Now the reading moves gently toward comfort. There is another hand held out in the dark. Part 11. Comfort in presence. Comfort in the small hours is not noisy. It arrives like hands placed lightly on the shoulders of one who trembles. The image is simple and familiar. The presence is steady. It does not demand explanation. It sits and warms the place where the night feels cold. There was a night some years back that stays close. A letter arrived with news that pricked the chest. The words were formal and exact. The response inside felt raw. An ache moved through the body like cold. The mind busied itself with reasons. That was not the help needed. Someone came then who did not offer answers. A great visit. A bowl of soup. An arm thrown across a narrow couch. The presence was not spectacle. It was a palm placed on a back and a seat taken in silence. That silence did its work. It made room for the ache without amplifying it. Comfort, in its truest form, often comes through steady attendance. The scripture I read to you speaks of comfort being near in times of trouble. I hold that line not as a theological tournament, but as a bedside lantern. The promise is that comfort comes to those who are bowed down. It is not conditional on eloquence or on moral achievement. It rests like a blanket across shoulders. Practical things help to receive comfort. A warm drink in both hands. Socks that are thick and slowly warm. A small playlist of soft, slow melodies, low enough to be background. The senses respond. Warmth signals safety. Rhythm signals rest. The body begins to close the gap between the pulse and sleep. There is a simple practice that has aided many a hard night. Place one hand on the chest and one on the belly. Breathe in 4. Hold 2. Breathe out 6. Picture the presence as a soft light behind the hands. Feel the warmth travel a little further with each exhale. The act is not a cure. It is a way to consent to comfort. Comfort also comes through words spoken long ago. A parent's lullaby. A phrase from a mentor. A line from the Bible that is simple and sure. Those lines do not answer every question. They offer a chord the mind can rest upon. If sleep is thin, speak one of those lines under the breath. Let it be an anchor for the wandering thought. There is tenderness in allowing others to care. Pride can make receiving hard. Wanting to do everything alone sometimes looks like strength. Often it is fatigue masked as dignity. The choice to accept help is small and brave. Let the neighbor bring a casserole. Let a friend collect a child for an hour. Let the hands be lighter for a while. These acts are practical mercy. When grief is wide and words fail, memory can be a companion. Remember small mercies given in the past. A hand that once held steady. A voice that once said a calm thing. Memory does not erase the ache. It threads it with warmth. It keeps the story rounded. Hold one such memory for 3 slow breaths. Let the heart feel the continuity. Comfort is also present in routine. A bedtime ritual that signals rest to the nervous system helps reduce vigilance. Dim the lights. Put devices away. Fold a list of tasks and set it out of sight. These small acts send a clear code to the body. It is safe to let go for a while. There will be nights when comfort is not visible. Those are the nights when small faith is practiced. Choose a single act of kindness to give. Call a friend to say a short word. Send a quiet text. Give away a small kindness without expecting return. Acts of care often circle back as comfort in a future hour. If loneliness presses, try this imagery. Imagine a hand held across the room. It reaches out without force. It is patient. It waits to be taken. Picture yourself reaching out too. The motion is small and true. The connecting of two hands changes the chemistry of the night. Warmth moves through bone and sinew. Sometimes comfort arrives anonymously. A note left on a doorstep. A candle seen through a window. A melody drifting from a neighbor's house. These small signals say the world is not entirely cold. They are evidence of presence that does not always announce itself. The night can feel long when comfort seems slow to come. In those hours, the breath is the immediate friend. Keep to the pattern. In 4, hold 2, out 6. Repeat until the chest steadies. Use a single short sentence as a lullaby you are near. You are safe. Say it softly. Let it sink. The mind will often accept a few simple truths more readily than long arguments. Before this part closes, place one small object by the bedside. A smooth stone, a watch, a photograph folded into the back of a book. When the night feels hollow, take the object into the palm. Feel its weight. Let it be a tactile reminder that care is possible. Hold it for a breath or two. Then set it down gently. Receive a simple blessing now. May comfort find the places that ache. May rest sit like soft dust. May mercy come by small hands and steady hearts. These are not metaphors to escape pain. They are practical ways to sit with it until the morning does what nights often do, make a space for gentle repair. I close the Bible for a moment. The lamp remains a low glow. The breathing pattern continues. The note of hope rests under the light. The object lives by the bedside. The night holds a patient space. I will return in the next part with more quiet readings and small practices. For now, lie back. Let the hands rest. Let the breath lengthen. Sleep when it comes. Good night. I open the Bible and let the page settle beneath my hand. The lamp throws a slow circle of light. I read as I always do in the night. The reading is a small rhythm now. It is a habit that steadies the hours. There is a short line I often carry to the bedside. It says that God's word is a lamp to the feet and a light along the path. I do not speak it loudly. I let the idea move like a careful step. The image is plain. A small light shows the next place to put the foot. It does not reveal every step ahead. It does not have to. It makes the immediate way safe. I think of a night years ago when that image became real. I am traveling on a narrow road into a place I have never known. Mist sits on the fields. Road signs blur in the pale light. The map on my phone lags. The mind starts to build a list of what could go wrong. Routes that once seemed sure feel uncertain now. Panic wants to take the wheel. I stop the car at the side of the road. The engine ticks and cools. For a moment I sit with the quiet. The mist presses against the windshield like soft hands. I open the Bible on the passenger seat and rest my palm on the page. The line about a lamp and a path comes up in my imagination. It is not a command to move or to choose a route. It is a small permission to look at the immediate step. I walk to the edge of the road. The gravel is cool underfoot. I let my eyes adjust to the dim. I take a breath that is slow and honest. The next turn comes into view. It is only the next turn. I do not see the whole journey. That is not needed. Holding the one small image makes the decision easier. I am guided to the next manageable action. Check the map again. Call one person to confirm a detail. Follow the lane marked by the fence posts. The anxiety that amplified in the car starts to settle. The next step is visible. The heart steadies. Scripture works like that often. It does not always answer the big, loud questions in a single stroke. It offers a light that guides the foot for the next piece of ground. When life feels fogged, the word helps to focus on what is near. It asks for one small act of trust. It frees the hands from clutching at illusions of total control. I carry another memory. This one is more internal. There is a season when decisions crowd like leaves in a storm. A work change, a move half decided, a relationship that needs attention. The mind sorts possibilities with frantic speed. The chest lifts and falls, as if every gust will topple something important. In that season, I come back to the simple lamp image. I place the focus on the immediate thing that can be done right now. Make one phone call. Sleep on the paper of plans. Fold one page of a list and tuck it away. The act is small but decisive. Doing one thing brings a kind of order. The light guides the next step, and the next. Clarity grows like dawn spreading over a field. It is not sudden, it is faithful. As I read the verse aloud in a low voice, now, I let it settle into the room. The sound is soft and steady. It is like the small footstep that follows the lantern. If you find your mind racing tonight, try a small practice with me. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. Repeat 3 times. Imagine the breath like a tiny lantern inside the chest. With each inhale, the light grows a little brighter. With each exhale, the path ahead looks less frightening. The light of Scripture also shows the places where the heart needs tending. Sometimes the lamp reveals a stone in the path, a small confession, an apology to be offered, a kindness to be given. The notice is gentle. The task is small. The movement toward it becomes a quiet repair. Now I turn to another promise that sits near the lamp. It comes from the prophet Isaiah. The lines there speak of renewal. They say that even after seasons of drought, new things can begin. The language is like spring after long winter. It is not a theatrical overhaul. It is a patient opening. A season of exhaustion once made this promise personal for me. Months of tending to others, nights of waking, days of small and necessary labor, left the body and spirit thin. The usual reserves are gone. The things that once sparked interest feel grey. I move like a person who remembers how to smile but has forgotten the muscle. One morning I read the line about renewal and waited for it to mean something practical. I do not find immediate miracles. Instead, I find a pattern of small, steady acts that begin to rebuild life. A short walk in a slow rhythm, a cup of tea taken without hurry, a friend who brings a meal and sits quietly. Sleep that comes in deeper pieces. Over weeks, the breath feels less ragged. The appetite returns a bit. The mind unclenches. Renewal looks like that most of the time it is not an instant recovery. It is a slow knitting. A broken thread is not replaced all at once. It is mended stitch by stitch. Isaiah's picture of making a way where none seems to exist helps me trust small beginnings. It gives permission to hope for a change that grows in time. I remember a particular morning after a long winter of tiredness. I open the curtains and see a field that had looked dead now showing tiny green tip. The sight is small. It is also large. That tender green is the world's quiet answer to long weariness. I stand with the cup in my hand and feel something like a warmth beginning. It is not loud. It is honest. In the slow night now, I offer a short practice for those who feel spent. Lie back or settle into a chair. Place both hands on the lower ribs. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 2. Breathe out for 6. Picture renewal as a gentle sun beneath your palms. With each breath, imagine the warmth spreading from fingers to chest. Let the warmth follow the breath. Repeat until the hands feel warmer and the shoulders lower. Promise and lamp work together. The lamp shows the next step. The promise of renewal gives hope that small steps matter. Together they form a pattern. See the next thing to do. Do it with care. Let time and mercy do the rest. This approach keeps the night soft and manageable. Sometimes renewal appears in the simplest gifts. A neighbor's care, a friend's note, a good meal, a small victory in doing the dishes without feeling overwhelmed. Each one is a stitch. Each one counts. The scriptures do not always change circumstances immediately. They change the heart that walks through them. A heart that is allowed to rest begins to mend itself. If there is a hard place in the night for you now, try naming one small thing that would count as a beginning tomorrow. A 5-minute walk, a short call, a small piece of work that is kind to the self. Put it on a folded scrap of paper and lay it under the lamp. The act is a gentle promise to the morning, not an insistence on certainty. I read to you because the words slow the mind. I read because the lamp and the promise help the hands set down burdens for a time. You do not need to fix everything tonight. The path will still be there in the morning. The seed under the soil will still be doing its slow work. Before this part closes, accept a short blessing from the pages. May the word be a lamp for your next step. May renewal come in patient measures. May nights give space for the small, faithful actions that prepare the morning. These hopes are simple. They are steady. I will return in the next part with more quiet texts and soft images. For now, rest with a small light in the chest. Let breath be the measure. Let the hands be still. Sleep when it comes. Good night. I open the Bible and let my palm rest on the page. The lamp throws a soft circle. Tonight, I turn to a promise, that has carried many tired souls. It is a promise about renewed strength. It speaks to those who wait and hope. The picture it gives is of rising, of lifting, like wings finding lift after a long fall. The image of mounting on wings comes to mind first. I do not mean a literal flight. I mean the feeling of being carried when legs are weary. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast plain after a long, hard climb. The heart is heavy. The breath is shallow. Then a quiet wind arrives. It tugs at the coat. It holds the weight of the hair. The body remembers motion that was forgotten. There is a small buoyancy. The next step feels lighter. That is the way strength can return when hope is steady. On a particular night some years ago, fatigue sat like a stone on the chest. The day had been long, and the work longer. There were small emergencies left unattended. The list of things to fix seemed to breed in the corners of the mind. I crawled into bed, feeling older than the years I carried. Sleep did not come quickly. Thoughts circled the same small anxieties like moths around a too bright lamp. I read the line about mounting on wings slowly. The words become a soft rope thrown across the night. They do not pull me out of the ordinary. They simply remind me of a different posture. I breathe in and feel a permission that I had not given myself before. The shoulders drop. A long exhale loosens the grip on a held worry. The chest that felt compressed begins to expand a fraction. Then I imagine an eagle's motion. Not the strong beating that strains the muscles, but the patient lift when upward wind meets feather. The bird does not force the air. It uses what comes. It does not startle the night. It rests on currents. In that image, something shifts. Expectation slims down. The demand to perform quiets. The body allows itself a small ease. The lift does not feel sudden. It is gradual. First the muscles loosen. Then thoughts slide into a new order. Urgent things still exist. The mind notes them without panic. A ripple of rest moves through the limbs like a hand smoothing fabric. It is a small restoration. But it is true. The heart registers space. That space makes tomorrow's work bearable. I recall another morning later on, when this kind of rising became visible in action. A period of caregiving had drained reserves. Nights were short. Appetites were small. A stubborn list of undone things grew like weeds. One day, after a gentle conversation with a friend who listened without prescribing, a new kind of motion began. Tasks were not suddenly complete. They were rearranged. Some were shared. Some were set aside. The relief felt like wings, more than like running. It was not an energetic sprint. It was a slow rising that made movement possible again. That rising has a practical side. Sleep helps. Small boundaries help. Saying no to one extra task this evening opens room for a needed yes tomorrow. Asking for help is not a failure. It is a practice of strength in community. The scriptures speak to a renewed vigor that appears when hope turns outward. Hope is not mere wishing. It is a steady, looking toward a hand that meets the weary. If the chest feels heavy now, try this with me. Lier sit confortably. Place one hand over the sternum and one on the belly. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold 2. Breathe out for 6. Repeat 3 times. On the next inhale, picture thin wings unfolding at the shoulders. They do not flap wildly. They open with care. With each exhale, feel the wings relax. The image is gentle. Let it be enough. The body will respond to small cues. Strength also returns through small, steady actions. Eat a warm, plain meal. Walk with small steps. Let the hands rest when they tremble. A neighbor's casserole. An unhurried conversation. A short prayer. These are not extravagant miracles. They are the ways the world hands back vigor. Hope meets these practical gestures and uses them. I remember a night when hope felt like a dim lamp, a stack of letters, each with some demand, sat on the table. The mind wanted to answer them all at once. Instead, a friend suggested one small step, answer the simplest note. That single completion made the next one seem smaller. One small success fed the next. Strength grew in a chain, not in a single leap. The wings were metaphorical, but the motion was real. Mounting on wings also means trusting the lift that comes from sources, not wholly visible. It is the faith to let the body rest while unseen repair happens. It is the willingness to sleep and to trust that repair will continue. There is a quiet dignity in resting. Rest is not giving up. It is making room for growth that happens while the hands are still. Now I invite a quiet moment. With the Bible open, the lamp stays soft. The night draws in. If you would like, close the eyes or let them rest on a dim point. Breathe slowly as before. In this small space, consider a gentle prayer. Keep it brief. Keep it honest. Pray for renewed strength. Pray for patience to wait on what refreshes. Pray for the kind of hope that mounts on wings. I will lead a simple prayer. The words are short. They are not a test. They are an offering you may echo or hold silently. Begin with a deep breath. Inhale for 4. Hold 2. Exhale 6. Now, speak softly in the mind or out loud these intentions. If words feel too much, simply hold the desire in the chest. Thank for today's small mercies. Ask for rest that repairs. Request strength that grows slowly and surely. Seek patience for steps that come tomorrow. Invite a calm that steadies the heart through small acts of care. If asking for forgiveness seems needed, say it simply. No long list is necessary. Name one small thing that weighs. Offer it in a short sentence. I am sorry for this. I would like to change. If the prayer feels too fragile to voice, hold the thought like a seed in your hand. Place it at the edge of the mind. Trust that the act matters. If making a specific request feels right, try it now. Ask for help with one concrete thing, waking with courage. Answering one difficult call. Taking one rest. Keep the petition narrow. A single thing is easier to hold than 100. If gratitude feels possible, name one small grace and let it sit in the chest. A warm meal, a friend's text, clean sheets. Gratitude acts like a counterweight to worry. It does not erase need. It frames it when the prayer feels complete. Sit in silence for a few breaths. Let the quiet be the answer for a time. It is okay if the mind wanders. Gently return to the breath. Let the rhythm be the anchor. If helpful, repeat a short phrase with each exhale. Something plain and steady. Perhaps, renew my strength. Or be near. Say the phrase slowly. Let it sink with each breath. The repetition is not magic. It is a way to train the heart's focus. Now place both hands on the knees or the chest. Feel the weight of the body. Notice the small movement of the breath. Remember that strength is not always a sudden surge. It often comes as a slow mending. It arrives like wings, meeting wind. It asks for a moment to open and to trust. If the mind brings worries back before sleep, try a small box practice. Imagine a wooden box on a bedside table. Put one worry inside. Close the lid. Tell the mind you will open it in daylight if needed. For now, let it rest. This little ceremony helps the hands keep still. Before I close this part, receive a short blessing in a quiet way. May renewed strength find the places you thought had nothing left. May hope lift you like wings, meet wind. May mercy come in small acts that add up. May sleep be a slow healer, and morning bring steady bones. I will sit with the Bible for a moment, without speech. The lamp keeps its low glow. If prayer felt right, hold the small warmth in the chest for a few breaths. If sleep arrives, let it come without hurry. If wakefulness remains, keep returning to the breathing and to the image of wings that do not rush, but rise. I will return in the final part with one last set of short readings and a gentle farewell. For now, rest in the steady promise that strength can be renewed and that hope gives room to rise. Good night. I sit with the Bible on my lap and feel the hush of the room. My voice is very low. This night is the last of our gentle readings together. The light stays soft. The rhythm we have made continues, steady and slow. Tonight I bring 3 quiet gifts. They are forgiveness, grace, and peace. Each arrives without clamor. Each fits into small hands. Each is meant to rest on the chest like a warm stone. Begin by finding the place in the body where tension lives. Let the shoulders soften. Let the jaw unclench. Let the fingers loosen. The breath comes easier when the body gives small permission. Keep the pace slow. Let the next inhalation lengthen a little. Let the exhale drift out longer than the in-breath. Forgiveness is the first gift. It is not a list of arguments. It is a simple unburdening. Picture a small basket at the foot of the bed. Take one worry or one regret into your hand. Feel its shape. Name it in a single quiet phrase inside the mind. No need to explain. No need to rehearse. Lay it gently into the basket. Do this for one thing only. Close the hands. The basket sits. The weight is no longer on the shoulders. If the thing to be laid down is a failure to someone loved, imagine a thread of light tying a neat corner on that memory. The thread is not a denial of the hurt. It is a careful way to keep it from reopening. If the thing is a harsh word said in heat, Picture smoothing the edge with a soft cloth. The cloth does not erase the mark. It tenderizes it, so healing may begin. Forgiving the self can be the quietest and the hardest. Tell the heart, this is not a race. Allow one small sentence to move like a lullaby. I release this for now. Repeat it slowly with a breath. The words are a simple hinge. They open a door a little wider. Grace is the second gift. It comes without demand. It is not earned by frantic effort. Imagine rain falling on an exhausted field. The soul drinks without needing to justify thirst. Grace touches the places where effort has run dry. It does not tally merits. It gives favor quietly. Place an open palm over the chest and feel the warmth there. Think of grace as a soft bandage for ragged places. It does not rush in and tidy everything at once. It sets a steady pressure. It makes room for the slow repair that needs time. If Guld speaks loudly, let grace speak softer and longer. Let that softer voice stay beside the louder thought until the louder one calms. There are nights when mercy feels remote. I remember such a season. Strange as it may sound, mercy often finds a way through the smallest things. A neighbor's cup of tea left on the step. A single message that says, I remember. A hand placed on a shoulder without words. These small mercies are grace in a human shape. They carry the intangible into the palms. Peace is the third gift. It is not the absence of difficulty. It is an anchoring in the middle of difficulty. Picture a wide lake at dawn. The breeze is minimal. The water holds the sky. The mind can rest on that reflection without needing to fix the water's surface. Peace keeps company with worry. It does not pretend the worry is gone. It simply refuses to let worry set the entire tone. Now, a short practice will help these gifts settle. Keep the hands where they feel most steady. Breathe in slowly. Let the count be gentle, 3 to breathe in. Pause for a heartbeat. And 5 to let the air leave. Repeat this pattern 3 more times. With each out-breath, imagine the basket by the bed growing lighter. See the soft bandage of grace settling over the places that ache. Feel the lake expanding under a still sky. If tears come, accept them. Tears are part of the language of the body. They track what words cannot always hold. Let them flow where they must. Afterward, the face feels less heavy. The chest opens as if a lid has been lifted a fraction. Forgiveness, grace, and peace change the posture of the night. They do not always change the facts of the day. They change the way the heart carries the facts. That is a worthy work. Carrying with lighter hands alters the morning. Make room now for a short remembering. Think of one small kindness from this day or week. Keep it small. A door held open, a plain meal warmed. A voice that did not scold. Hold the memory in the mind like a pebble. Turn it a bit and notice its smoothness. Gratitude does not erase sorrow. It softens the edges and offers a place to rest. There may still be questions that sit stubbornly in the dark. Questions about tomorrow. About who will care. About how the small things might be fixed. Let these questions be companions that sit at the edge of the room. Name one quietly and place it in the basket for the night. Promise to give it attention in daylight. For now, Let the room be prioritized for rest. God's presence is nearer than many dare to feel. It is not distant applause. It is a steady hand on the back. It is the kind of closeness that stays through late hours. Imagine a steady lantern, a small distance to the side. Its light does not burn out. It does not glare. It simply steadies the next step. This presence keeps its watch, whether sleep comes quickly or slowly. Promises are anchors. They do not vanish when storms rise. The promises of mercy, of being seen, of being kept. Form a net that holds without tightness. Think of one promise that has felt true before. It can be a line from Scripture, a memory of a kindness, or a quiet conviction in the bones. Let that promise sit like a soft stone on the bedside table of the mind. Return to it when the night tests the nerves. There is a gentle practice of handing things over that helps when thoughts keep turning. Picture writing one worry on a scrap of paper. Fold it neatly and lay it under the lamp. Tell oneself in a soft voice that this will be retrieved in daylight if needed. The small ritual of placing the paper away creates a safe boundary for the night. The mind learns that certain tasks are reserved for a clearer hour. If forgiveness for another person seems needed, consider a two-step motion. First, hold the painful memory tenderly and speak one short line inside the mind that acknowledges the hurt. Second, picture this hurt placed beside the basket and draped in a soft cloth. The act does not condone harm. It simply refuses to carry that weight alone all night. Mercy can be granted slowly. And for the night, that small gift is enough. Grace sometimes comes as a permission slip for the body. Give that permission now. Allow muscles to soften at the base of the skull. Let the shoulders slide a notch away from the ears. Let the legs spread just enough to be comfortable. The body answers to these small assurances. When the frame feels cared for, the spirit follows. If worry returns, use the breath as a door. Breathe in 3. Pause. Breathe out 5. Each exhale widens the small space between thought and response. Use the silence that comes in that spacing to whisper a single short truth into the heart. Keep it plain, I am accompanied, or mercy is here, or rest is given tonight. These small truths factor more than logic in the hush. I will share a short memory that I keep when nights blur. Once, in a season of many small losses, a friend made tea and did not ask me to explain. That simple act did more to steady the chest than any tidy answer could. Presence without interrogation is powerful medicine. It reinforces the trust that grace will meet the cracked places. The promises held in Scripture are not arguments to win. They are hands to hold. They meet the night with soft power. Let them do their quiet work. Here is a tiny practice to receive them. Place a hand over the heart. Feel the pulse. Let the voice in the mind speak a single phrase. Keep this. Keep what is fragile. Keep what is weary. Say it slowly. Let the words make a shelter. As the hour deepens, accept a blessing that is not loud. May forgiveness find its place in the night. May grace come like rain on dry fields. May peace settle like a blanket around restless thought. These are not promises that remove all pain. They are steady hopes that guard the heart while work continues. Before the last lines, A short thanks. Thank you for sharing this quiet space. Thank you for allowing these words to rest beside your breath. The sharing of the night is a small, sacred thing. It makes loneliness less absolute. It builds a gentle community across the distance of rooms and walls. If you find this voice helpful and would like to return to this time, remember the small habits that prepared you tonight. Dim the lights. Put the devices away. Let the body be still. Fold one worry into a paper and place it aside. These small acts teach the body that rest is not neglect. It is provision. I will stay silent now for a few breaths. Let the silence be a companion. Let the breath continue its slow, steady work. If sleep comes, may it be deep and repairing. If wakefulness remains, let the rhythm of the breath be the metronome that steadies the hour. A final blessing comes in a hush. Receive it in the chest like warm bread. May forgiveness make your load lighter. May grace meet you in places you did not expect. May peace guard the mind and the heart. May the nearness of God be felt as quietly as a hand on your shoulder. May promises keep you as you sleep. Thank you again for this shared sacred hour. It is an honor to read into the night with you. Rest now in these steady things. Sleep when your body calls. Wake with courage when morning comes. Good night, and peace be with you.